about on this new application, and the rains is going to be our focus over the first couple of minutes in the show today, because that's all actually anybody can talk about over various headlines. Here is the Delhi-NCR newspaper with me. It says Uttar Bharat mein bhari varsha, kahin bahi gaadiyan to kahin baha pul, 24 logo ki gayi jaan. The death toll and the figures in that terms, Varghese, is something that one needs to be really careful about, because some people are saying 16 people have died, some are reporting 15. The Dainik Jagran here says 24 people. But the cars that went for a little swim up in the hills, to various alerts across states, people are still speculating and expecting things to go bad here. Yesterday, the entire Delhi national capital region was pretty much flooded. Take a look at what was happening in Gurgaon, what was happening in Delhi, but in Himachal Pradesh, actually, let's just begin with Himachal Pradesh. Let's go across to those visuals, those shots. People were stuck inside their homes as dilapidated walls and crumbling structures completely just got washed away. And it wasn't these, brick houses or houses that had gotten weak over time. It was the fact that entirety of pools and bridges were completely swept away. Let's not forget the pilgrimage Amarnath Yatra is also on. These visuals coming across from Mandi in Himachal Pradesh, where the rain pain is absolutely out there for everybody else to see. Schools remain shut. Varghese just got a text message from his daughter's school that there's no need to send your offspring to school today, because and I appreciate the fact that schools have stepped out and they've said that it's not necessary for parents to go through the entire ordeal because of what people are seeing. Take a look at that. I mean, these are places where actually tourists would throng.
Tourist spots, and also, I mean, the religious tourist spots where there are several temples that are there. All of them flooded right at the moment, with heavy rains creating huge chaos in the hilly state of Himachal. It's not only Himachal, it's also spread out in other areas of North India as well. But from Himachal, there's a lot of news reports coming in that there are several tourists who have been marooned literally because of the flash flood waters. Some of the areas, the torrential rains have resulted in flash floods, especially near their areas of stay, where they had taken up a lot of these small houses for going up to the hilly areas and all those areas. What has happened is that some of them are unable to even get out. What we understand, as we saw in Mandi also, what is happening is that to reach to another location, or probably to a safe location, some of the tourists are using the ladders that are available and moving between houses. And they are moving between houses, and they are taking that kind of a risk to, just move out of that location.
Is there another way to go about?
There is no, even existing, the roads have been inundated, and plus existing bridges, small bridges that connect some areas of the place have also been completely
these are visuals from Kullu. Varghese just showing the viewers as well that the rivers are in spate, and there's no denying the fact that it might look a little appalling to viewers who are not in those areas, but this is Mother Nature's fury, and you don't go against Mother Nature. I mean, you can't possibly stop water now, can you? So the rain has certainly brought the entirety of North India to its knees. The death toll is rising. It's already in the double digits. Highways have been blocked.
National Highway 3,
Swathes have been flooded. And these visuals, Varghese, you're talking about tourists being marooned. I'm telling you, people of Uttarakhand, people of Himachal Pradesh aren't necessarily bothered with video capturing their plight. These are tourists that are stuck there.
Most of the tourists even do not know the terrain. Most of them go by the Google Maps, and they try to go to places. But this has been really bad situation that most of them have caught up in. National Highway 3 to Manali being submerged by angry rivers is what reports are coming in.
Look at those visuals. Look at those visuals.
When we see these visuals, yes.
This is like a flying fox adventure tourism sort of a thing happening in proper rescue kind of a scenario.
And you have the NDRF personnel who have also been deployed, and the flow of the water.
Adventure tourists, activity, enthusiasts would charge you about 2,000 rupees for a little to and fro on this same cable wire. But thanks to the NDRF, people are getting a chance to go through it for free.
Some more
but
bad
of course,
news,
these are serious situations.
Some more bad news for those who will be our tourists who are relied on railways. Northern Railways has cancelled 17 trains, diverts 12 amid heavy downpour. So that is the big news that a lot of people need to track. Northern Railways has cancelled 17 trains and has diverted 12 amid heavy downpour. You can go to the website and see which are the trains that have been cancelled and which have been diverted as of now.
At least 16 people were killed in landslides and flash floods that were triggered by heavy rain. Again, even as we read out various internet copies and copies from the newspaper, it's important to note that the death toll is something that is a tricky figure right now.
We cannot come to an exact yes, we cannot come to an exact figure right now.
But it is at least 15 as far as the numbers that I've been reading ever since morning. In Jammu and Kashmir as well, the bodies of 2 soldiers were washed away in flash floods in Poonch. Later they were retrieved. This is Lance Naik Teluram, who was swept away, while crossing a mountainous stream, and Naib Subedar Kuldeep Singh, the patrol leader, while attempting to save him, laid down his life. So our thoughts and prayers going out to the brave hearts. In Kashmir, a special team of Navy joined an operation to trace a minor girl who drowned in the Poru River in Kupwara district, but in Himachal Pradesh, and the visuals of what we're taking a look at right now. Trees uprooted, broken down. It's chaotic scenario in Himachal Pradesh. I mean, those cars chaotic. Going for a little
and all these
swim.
Are Shimla, Manali. These are all
proper
tourist
spots. Proper tourist spots.
And you can see how the coniferous trees have slowly started giving way because there seems to be landslips that are happening. Well, you can see this wall that is cracked up because of a landslip. So it just shows that the water is quite excessive and it is moving the soil. It is removing the soil from underneath the structures. You can see how those collapses are being reported. Here you can see the retaining wall collapsing in Shimla, the trees being uprooted, and some of them in fact completely broken like twigs. Here, these are the visuals that show the intensity of this. And Kabir, what is the reason for this? Apparently, this is what the experts are saying, and the Hindustan Times has given a small paragraph on this. They are saying that it is a rare interaction of monsoon rainfall with western disturbance. In the past 2 days, an interaction between a western disturbance and the monsoon trough has led to the heavy rainfall over Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Punjab, Haryana. This is what the experts say. So it is an interaction of 2 weather systems that has led to this huge rainfall that is being reported in all these areas, especially in the hilly areas. Look, the rivers in speed, that is the power of the torrent in Himachal that you are seeing. This is from Manali, where the river is in complete speed. It has in fact washed away a part of the road. This is what is leading to several hill areas being cut off from each other because the waters have washed away the bridges. It has washed away parts of the roads that connected. So quite a difficult situation in terms of connectivity. So wherever you are, stay put. Do not take that risk right now. Let the authorities help you.
That's what the caution is on the newspapers as well. People told to avoid unnecessary travel. Do not step out if it is absolutely unnecessary. I'm reading here that 3 people were killed in a landslide in Madholi village in Shimla district. 1 woman died after she was buried under debris following.
Look at the intensity from the
Lanka Baker village.
Sorry to just look at the intensity of it. This is how the bridges are being washed away. These are connecting bridges between 2 different. Yes, these are
Manikaran, again a very heavy tourist spot. You've got the Manikaran hot spring. A lot of people from the Sikh faith travel here throughout the year to pay their obeisance as well. And this must be bridges are lifelines in those kind of
these
areas.
Are lifelines that connect between the hills, and you can see how the intensity of that water flow in that area, and you can see how the bridge is being completely battered, yes,
because of the
and this is not only the flood waters. This is with the soil. It is with the wood that comes along with trees that have been uprooted, and as it comes, it's got the force of concrete, literal concrete. That is
I'll tell you what, Varghese, Manikaran happens to be in the Parvati Valley. Parvati Valley also houses, Kasol, which is thronged by a lot of youngsters right out of after college as well. And it's not just that; it's a proper hippie trail, so to speak. And a lot of people from the Sikh faith, travel here. And every now and then, during each visit, you get to hear about people that have fallen into the Parvati River, and they are not to be found anymore. And that's purely because of the fury and the speed, the velocity at which the river flows. Take a look at these visuals. I mean, you dare not even come near this visual. Thanks to cameras that can go into a 48 megapixel zoom. Otherwise, you wouldn't really catch these videos in today's time.
Well, very difficult to in fact see what is actually happening on the ground. But
take a look at that car going for a swim. That's what I'm talking about. So many visuals that you saw and people were helpless. You'd probably expect the car owner to be looking at this, visual, looking at their car go for a swim, get down right to the river basin.
Well, this is, I think, probably
it's a rocky terrain.
It's a rocky.
The car is pretty much not even a car by the end of, where it's going to land up. But what people are saying, and experts have come out, and the Met Department are saying, and this for everybody that's on the show right now, convergence of two types of winds over the northwest India, says the IMD, is the reason behind it. Incessant rainfall over the weekend has brought North India to its knees, with rivers in spate, landslides in the mountains, waterlogging in the plains, and at least, again, a death toll figure that one must tread carefully with. The Indian Express says 15 dead in rain-related incidents. In Uttarakhand's Udham Singh Nagar, 2 people died after parts of houses collapsed, while a jeep carrying 11 pilgrims from Kedarnath fell into the Ganga in the Muniki Reti area of Tehri Garhwal district around 3 a.m. in the wee hours of the day. Landslides. I mean, this is not rain anymore, this is rock rain. And one can only see, you can see the vehicles that are parked at the back, it's a bridge, and you never know when that bridge is also going to give in. So I'm sure the authorities are on alert, absolutely. And even as people from, who live away from these areas are looking at visuals on their WhatsApps, on their telegrams, on all social media websites, are probably going like, oh, take a look at that, what just happened. And these are appalling visuals to share and, talk about. But the plight and the perils of the people who are stuck there, just like you said, the tourists that are marooned in this torrential rain, and even today we've got warnings.
Those visuals,
again.
in fact, shows a lot of these tourist buses. If you can see from here,
right.
It is mostly the tourist buses that are stuck on that route, and that's a huge risk that these people have taken. As you can see, those landslides and those boulders coming down, it just shows that things are not pretty as of now, and many of them are marooned. Of course, we are trying to in fact reach out to those people who are still stuck over there, so that they can reach out to the authorities. And meanwhile, the authorities have been giving out warnings, asking people to stay put where they are, and just not to venture out, because it is very dangerous situation. You have slippery slopes. You have also the land which is not stable because of the excess water that is accumulated. And in hillside, when the water and the interacts with the soil and the water is more, it tends to slip off, and we've seen the impact of it. The rivers are in spate, and these visuals, Kabir, of course, which we have been pointing out, is the most dangerous, because these visuals just point out to the fact that all the roads that are there, that meander through these hills and try to carve itself through these hills, well, those roads are actually dangerous spots. That is so much of rock falling
rainfall
down.
We began this particular month talking about how the rains were wreaking havoc in Kerala. And at the same time, we were talking about how, the Keralites are used to that kind of rain as well. Trees being uprooted, little bit of traffic snarls, that's not bringing Tiruvananthapuram down to its knees. But over here, the situation looks to be completely different. Intense rainfall in the last 24 hours. If I could just give you a number of what was happening. In Una in Himachal Pradesh, 228.5 millimeter rain. In Kathua in Jammu and Kashmir, 221.8 millimeter. In Ropar in Punjab, and we'll show you visuals from Punjab as well, because Punjab is a state where Bhagwant Mann, the Chief Minister, has asked for the army to come in. People are asking for the army to come in. It's called Punjab, the land of the 5 rivers, and 2 of those rivers in spate. In Ambala, 224 millimeter of rainfall. In Gurgaon, 71.6 71 millimeter rainfall, and we'll show you visuals of Gurgaon as well. People were actually sitting on top of their cars because, well, there's no place to stand. In Nangal Dam, it's 282.2 millimeters. In Kalka, 244. Chandigarh, 302.2 millimeter rainfall. India as a whole got 15.8 millimeter rainfall, which is 81% more than the average. Heavy to very heavy rainfall is expected today and tomorrow. Today it is expected in Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, in Ladakh, in Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, and also Rajasthan. And on the 11th of July, which is tomorrow, Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh will again have to get ready to face the fury of Mother Nature, the rain. Since 2013, Varghese, extreme events have happened each year, but not a lot of lessons learned. This is a little excerpt in the Indian Express on the side. It says, after the Uttarakhand disaster of 2013, there has not been a single year when India has not had at least one major extreme rainfall event, one that resulted in large-scale flooding, destruction, and, in most cases, loss of lives. Such events have happened in Kashmir, Chennai, Bengaluru, Pune, Mumbai, Gurgaon, Kerala, Assam, Bihar, and many other places. These are exactly the kind of events that scientists have been warning for several years now. I mean, is it a time that we should maybe now listen closely for what Mother Nature has been trying to say for the longest time?
I think climate change is something that we all have to address, and we'll have to in fact look at it from a very important perspective. That is to say that we need to do whatever necessary and some policy changes that are required on that part. But
look at that entire house going away, that entire house being swept away.
I mean, you're going to see such things much more in intense manner, much more with the frequency. I think we should look at what has happened in Delhi-NCR, in our backyard.
Certainly, let's shift our focus to what's happening in Delhi. In Delhi, there is no let-up in rain. Delhi-NCR schools remain shut. It's a record downpour, by the way, ladies and gentlemen.
41 years. It is the record
heaviest 24-hour July rain in 41 years. It has absolutely paralyzed NCR. Take a look at that. Straight out of a murder scene, and a Hollywood flick, if you talk about it. These are visuals from Dharamshala. Let's quickly shift our focus to Himachal Pradesh, to the national capital in Delhi. I'm going to ask the director to play shots from the national capital for you to understand what's really happening in Delhi. Complete traffic snarls. People were helpless. People were absolutely helpless. The similar situation was seen in Gurgaon, in Gurugram as well. People sitting on top of their cars. What's really happening? No let-up in rain. Schools remain shut. There were 13 calls of houses and walls being collapsed in Delhi. Over 200 waterlogging complaints were received by civic agencies in the national capital. Light to moderate rain is also expected today. A yellow alert has been issued. And Varghese, let's not forget, the Yamuna River is becoming problematic. But, in Himachal Pradesh, the situation seems to be more dangerous and treacherous because the river also has to bicker down from a height, and in the national capital it's essentially a plain being flooded. But here I think the Bias being in spate, what's happening in Kullu, look at those visuals. I mean, really up top, high in the mountains. Imagine how cold this water is going to be as well.
It is going to be very difficult to fathom the kind of rush that we are seeing. And remember, all these are visuals from people who've been able to reach these remote areas, and they've been able to capture what is exactly happening. And this shows the full force of the river being in spate. And this, as I was saying, when it comes to the hilly regions, we're talking about it having the force of a wet concrete. So what you're seeing is moving concrete, albeit in a little diluted form, but they are actually moving concrete that with a lot of mud, with a lot of wood, uprooted trees that are coming in. So it's coming with a huge force, and it's coming with a huge soil content as well. So this, though the flow in fact looks in such a dangerous manner, when it comes further down, it is going to have that bashing effect of a concrete, smashing onto any sort of obstacle that could face. That could be, land bridges or any other sort of road that would be crossing it. So it's going to be, I think the assessment of this damage that we're going to see will come to light only probably in the next 3-4 days as
Certainly.
to what exactly
You'll see chief
was the-
ministers taking stock of situations in their helicopters, but a lot of people at that point, it irks when the chief ministers take that helicopter inspections high up from above, not really even touching the ground. And I can understand it's going to be impossible for any state leader to go.
So this is again what I was saying about.
Precisely,
Look,
a state leader is not walking through that in any case. So a helicopter is their
these
best
are
option.
these are the small connecting links between villages near the hills. They are
Certainly,
the small
certainly.
and when these go, it creates a whole sort of chaos.
Ration gets stopped.
Ration gets stopped. Movement gets stopped. Medicines get stopped. So essential supplies basically get stopped completely. So they just hope that they have enough and more in this place, and you cannot stop until there is some kind of an effort to bring some kind of effort to bring these. The only option is to airdrop it in areas where people are marooned in this manner. But this. As the rains continue, I think we should keep focusing on how much of a problem it is becoming these days. And as you rightly pointed out, Kabir, I think the biggest issue that is there is that it is not a one-off event. We are reporting a frequency of such one-off events, and that is the cause of concern that we should be looking at.
Well, certainly, I mean, since 2013, that's almost a decade's worth of extreme events every year. Yesterday I was speaking to, a really young relative of mine, and she had the opinion that, this is just Mother Earth fixing herself. Because the people won't listen to Mother Earth for her cries and her pains. This is just, you're just taking a look at Mother Earth taking matters into her own hand and trying to fix it. You won't need all of this, those forest covers that are going away with it.
When
we were talking about 1.5
you're talking
degrees
about forest
temperature that
covers,
needs to
and of
come
course
down.
one of the important stories that have come is also this: objections overruled, forest bill goes to House unchanged. Parliamentary committee endorses proposed amendments to Forest Conservation Act of 1980 in its entirety. Environment Ministry denies charge that changes dilute various protections in the law. Okay, this is what it's saying: dilution of the Supreme Court 1996 judgment in the Godwarman case that extended protection to wide tracts of forest even if they were not recorded as forests. Well, that is considered to be one dilution. In geographically sensitive areas within 100 kilometers of international borders or line of control, no forest clearance required to construct highways, tidal power projects, and so on. No central protection for vast tracts, so-called deemed forests not officially recorded as forests, and permitting activities such as tourism, compromising their integrity.
Now, yeah, pretty much. So the report also notes that objections were raised to various aspects of the bill, including complaints that proposed amendments diluted the Supreme Court's 1996 judgment. This is exactly what you were talking about.
Yes,
right
I
now.
was talking about
And
that only.
this deals with the Godavarman case that extended protection to wide tracts of forests, even if they were not recorded as forests.
Which
now
means
there
to
is
say that-
opposition
yeah.
from the northeastern states as well, and we will come back to the northeastern states because we're going to be talking about Manipur soon. But essentially, the forest cover in India refers to land greater than 1 hectare in size, where the tree canopy density is greater than 10%. India's total forest cover rose to 38,251 square kilometers from 2001 to 2021. Now, this increase was mainly in terms of open forest cover, where tree canopy density ranges from 10% to 40%.
So basically, you're saying you will be ready to cut them down, and this is what it says. It says that the Act empowers the centre to require that any forest land diverted for non-forestry purposes.
So the Parliamentary Committee endorses proposed amendments to Forest Conservation Act 1980 in its
Now, why is it
entirety.
so significant about this? Because the fact remains is that what you see right now is a combination of weather. It's a combination of issues related to the issue about deforestation. And what happens when deforestation happens? Very simple. The roots which have been holding the soil becomes loose because there's nothing holding it, and then you see this kind of disasters happening one after the other. And in Himachal Pradesh, remember, it is also Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, they all follow the tourist area. And when we follow the tourist area, these are the areas where we in fact note that there is an issue about how they have been over monetized.
So we've essentially, commercialization has really screwed up situations, certainly. But at the same time, would you stick your neck out and say if these are vehicles or ships or small
See,
boats?
this is that. See, what we see in the hilly states are the issue of environment. What we see in Delhi-NCR is an issue of planning. And urban flooding, of course, a lot of these areas are there.
The iconic Ames flyover, people go through this flyover every day. I don't know, I think lakhs of cars would cross
I
this
think we
particular
should
flyover.
go for a water metros in Delhi.
Well, absolutely.
They
A water
launched one in
metro, maybe,
Kochi,
yeah.
so
Just
I
in the
think
months
we
of
want
June and July, maybe water metros. People helping each other out. I mean,
Because at the end of the day, there's only the common citizen to
humanity also, really strives.
That's Swiggy.
The Swiggy guy giving everybody, a little cheerful smile as well.
This is the situation that you see in most of our cities. It's not a Delhi NCR problem. It's a city that we see it in most of our cities. Most of our cities are getting waterlogged. Most of our cities are in fact increasing property taxes, saying that they need to fund the bills. Where is the money going to all these projects where it doesn't make any sense? Where you have these projects resulting in more of waterlogging, creating more chaos during the monsoon season, and people losing their lives. This is the kind of...
In the national capital, ladies and gentlemen, you've had record rainfall, 153 millimeters of rainfall, which is record rainfall in 41 years. Light to moderate rainfall is expected today as well. Yellow alert has been issued for the national capital region. Over 200 waterlogging complaints were received by the civic agencies. This is not even the tip of the iceberg. When I say people were actually sitting on top of their cars, I saw it personally with my own eyes. 13 calls of houses and walls being collapsed and received by the DFS. So no let up in rain. NCR and the national capital schools remain shut from August. Kranti Marg, where an entire portion of the road pretty much caved in. Take a look at these visuals. I'll just ask the camera person to showcase these visuals. These are visuals from Subhash Chowk in Gurgaon, Sundarnagar, August Kranti Marg and Sarita Vihar. Life completely coming to a standstill, and this portion of Delhi government school in Srinivaspuri in east of Kailash collapsed on Sunday as well. Take a look at these visuals at your disposal. What is really happening in the national capital as it breaks a 41-year rainfall record? The city was completely waterlogged, and right below here it says the Chief Minister cancels their Sunday leave and directs ministers and officials to hit the ground running, understand what's been happening. You've got PWD Minister Atishi who's taking stock of the situation. Well, thankfully, at least the state leader is on the ground and in the middle of the people and not in a helicopter above. But this is BJP councillor also with Atishi, who's the minister. Rain pain in the national capital, Varghese. What are some of the newspapers that you
Same
have?
thing. As you said, everybody has taken a collage of what exactly the situation was yesterday. I will just, in fact, show this particular picture as well. As you said, everybody has put out the collage of the situation that we can see over here, and most of them are actually focusing on some of the central areas of Delhi and the NCR region where it could happen. And as we see, people are just moving their vehicles through nothing but the flooded streets because they have no other choice. They are reliant on the yeah. There we have it. NCR in
rain chaos all over.
Rain chaos all over, and that you have pictures from Gurugram, Delhi, Ghaziabad and Dasna, and all of them showing different aspects of it, that you have no other choice but to...
Portions of expressway washed away is what I'm reading there. A large section of road on Dana Eastern Peripheral Expressway washed away due to heavy rainfall in Ghaziabad on Sunday.
Well, I think the infrastructure is also collapsing in that regard.
And all schools remain shut, ladies and gentlemen. All schools remain shut. Varghese was just about to send his daughter to school when I had to tell him that, there are no schools today, Varghese. You can.
No, I got a message from the school also, so I was just sharing it with you at that moment.
The students are certainly happy. It's like summer break all over again. But there's no heading out. People have been pretty much told to stay back home, and rightly so, because I tried to get out for a small, run a small errand nearby. But I'll tell you what, it took me more than an hour for less than a 5 kilometer, drive to and fro. That was the situation in the national capital. I'm talking about the east of Kailash area. And the IIT area, the SD, Safdarjung enclave, Chanakyapuri, it was impacted immensely. I mean, this flyover right here, the Ames flyover, it's a huge linchpin for connecting various parts of Delhi. Traffic from Aurobindo comes right here, traffic from South Extension comes right here. All of Ashram is leading right down to this road. And if you want to head towards the airport or Dwarka, this is your road to go. So again, a major point that took a hit yesterday. And like I said, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Lot of damage that was called 200 waterlogging complaints and 13 calls of houses and walls being collapsed. In east of Kailash, a portion of a Delhi government school in Srinivaspuri collapsed. I'm sure the BJP councillor, Yogesh Verma, who visited a waterlogging spot himself, is not going to be happy and is going to call out the Aam Aadmi Party government. But politics and political brinkmanship aside, Delhi really did take a huge battering, didn't it? What was the situation around where you were staying, Varghese?
Well, when
and this is why I'm asking you this, is because there's a complete comparison in how people have said that there was absolutely no waterlogging in Noida, but there was waterlogging in Gurugram and Delhi. So one out of the three NCR,
it was not it was, see, in certain parts of Noida, I don't know from where people were staying, but in certain sectors of Noida, there was no waterlogging at all. But in certain areas, there was waterlogging, especially around the markets, and it was not the kind of intense waterlogging where you see entire streets being flooded. But certain areas, especially the market areas, there was water all around the place. Some of those connecting service roads towards the market had water in it. But I think in the morning, most of it got cleared also. So the drain system was working in Noida area for some reason. And looks like some kind of effort was carried out to ensure those systems do work. So in Noida, many places, as far as I know, though during there were short periods of waterlogging, but the water did clear and did not get waterlogged in the manner in which you see in Delhi.
Because the Kavod Yatra, the Kavod pilgrim, is also on. In Ghaziabad, hospitals are on alert. Workers' leaves have been cancelled, and this is being done especially for the Kavod Yatra. The CMO of Ghaziabad has said that we have directed the medical staff to be present at the hospital, especially during the ongoing Kavod Yatra. The rains must have taken a toll on the Kavod Yatris also, that embark on this journey, go through all sorts of perils, just for their faith. Roads underwater, trees and poles that were uprooted. The city was certainly on its knees again. The NDRF teams were put on alert in Noida and Ghaziabad for emergency response, because where else will you go to? Here in Noida, where our studio also is, well, I can safely say in the entirety of my area, there was no waterlogging. Things were very manageable. If you wanted to run out for a little, medicine errand, or go get some essential supplies, you could head out in your cars, or with a hefty military grade rain jacket as well.
What is the situation in Punjab? What we understand is that these and Ghagar, both of them, are on the verge.
You mean Satluj?
Satluj, sorry, the Satluj, river Satluj, as well as Ghagar. Both of them are flowing, and in some areas they have burst their bank, and especially in Mohali area, it is being said that there are flood-like situations. In Patiala also there are flood-like situations, because of which people have started moving away from those areas. So I think in Punjab, there is
the Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann has, of course, called for the army to step in now, because Satluj is in spate, and I have seen it before as well. Even in the Bhakan Nangal area, where we read that the rainfall intensity was above 250 millimeters. Again, requesting the camera person to just take a look at this once. It says Delhi's rain quota for this month has been crossed already. I'll show you two pictures. One from Rohini and one from Mathura Road. Mathura Road picture, and both pictures are iconic, and I'll tell you why. Take a look at this. You've got two pictures here. The top one is from Rohini. It says Delhi's rain quota for this month has been crossed already. Look at the hole. Is that the moon? Is that Mars? That is Delhi, right up there. Take a look at that. Look at that big, huge crater.
Sinkhole.
That is a major sinkhole. I mean, that would swallow an entire car. And right below it, this picture from Mathura Road, this is Atishi Marlena's house. Right outside Atishi's house, it is completely waterlogged. So, in stark contrast, not a lot of waterlogging in Rohini over there, but the road has pretty much caved in. And this is the situation right outside Atishi Marlena's residence.
I've got a very interesting statement that's come on our chat box, Kabir, and I think we should one of our viewers has put it out. Gilbert D'Souza has said, "Nature takes care of man's wickedness."
Well, certainly, that's exactly what I was trying to tell you. I was speaking to my nephew, a really young child, and she had to say that, this is just Mother Nature fixing her own wounds. You can't do anything about it. And if you come in the way, well, you're going to be swept away.
Well, I think that what knowledge that little child has, it seems to be skipping a lot of people who've been advocating development in very, very sensitive environmental areas. And I think that is something that all of us should be very careful about. But these visuals, in fact, speak for itself. There have been reports coming in that several bridges on the river Bees has been washed away. So that is the level at which Bees is, the water flow in the Bees is. And this is, in fact, quite shocking to see that, there is no way that we can, in fact, fathom the kind of damage that is going to happen. As I told you, it will take at least 3 to 4 days. Several iconic hotels in tourist spots have also been washed away, Kabir. And many of them say that some of the hotels that have been standing there for almost 60, 70 years, they have been all washed away right now. So that is the intensity that we are looking at. Probably during the day also, we will also get an idea about how bad the situation is being seen, especially in the hill states of Himachal, Uttarakhand, as well as the other states in Punjab. Also, we have to keep a closer eye on Mohali and Patiala as well, because over there have been reports saying that this visual is what I would be saying represents what's happening in the hill area, the intensity of the flow of that river and how it is damaging the small infrastructure that is there, which keeps the connections between the hills, and at the same time it ensures that supplies of all those connections are being completely broken.
Yamuna is in spate. Delhi has been issued a flood warning and it has blamed Haryana for it. Water politics between Delhi and Haryana is nothing new. Every time near Chhat Puja, when the river starts frothing up and people actually have to end up taking a dip in the waters in the national capital, these are the traffic snarls, and this was when the rain was just about to set in. This in ITO, again an iconic bridge, and I wouldn't say there is lesser traffic there when it's not raining, but the rain does bring the city to a standstill. What's going to happen with the Yamuna now? There is a proper flood warning. Haryana has released some lakhs and lakhs of cusecs of water from the Hatnikund barrage. How does that impact Delhi's travelling, people travelling from Delhi to Noida, Noida to Delhi, or crossing Yamuna in any way? Is there some kind of advisory or caution that has been put out, Varghese?
Well, I think we have to wait for the authorities as they keep giving us information on what is the flow in the Yamuna. As of now in the morning, I think it is not a very bad situation, but then
look at those visuals. These people trying to wade through knee-deep water. This area is again the IIT road that I was talking about as well, which I was on myself yesterday. Entirety of scooters and bikes that were completely drowned. You could see cars stalling at every place possible. That was the situation in the national capital. Coming back to the cautions, even as we're expecting Yamuna to be in full spate.
Well, as I was saying, we have to wait for the authorities because they are monitoring the Yamuna and they are looking at the levels at which it is flowing at. But as it flows, there are concerns about how much of the bridges could be at danger. But then, as of now, there's no news saying that anything could be destroying the bridges as of now. Though there has been an increased flow in the river. So everyone keeping their eyes open for what is the kind of flow that we are going to see.
Right. Before we move on to Manipur, Varghese, these are visuals coming in from Punjab, where in Kiratpur, this is a river in complete spate. It's flowing way above the danger mark. Houses have been flooded in Ambala, And the situation in Ambala is also pretty grim, and it's not anything to be happy about. Essentially, the rainfall in Ambala, the 250 plus millimeter of rainfall was too much to handle. Like I said before, also authorities in Punjab have asked the army to step in, even as the NDRF and SDRF are have already been deployed. What's going to happen today? What's going to happen tomorrow? Again, taking a look at some live visuals coming in from Kullu in Himachal Pradesh. And, it's important to note here that the heartline to Himachal Pradesh has to go through Punjab as well. Chandigarh is that main spot where you start climbing, ascending towards the hills. So it's but natural that all this water that's flowing down will end up impacting Punjab as well.
Well, that is the intensity of the flow that we are seeing. We've seen how the situation is in Himachal. Probably we are seeing that kind of a brunt in Himachal that we are looking at. And as to remind the viewers, the reason for this unnatural sort of rains is because you have the monsoon system interacting with the western disturbance that has resulted in these heavy rains.
So shops down their shutters, expecting and bracing for more losses. Take a look at these visuals. I mean, it looks like ruins now.
These are actually, looks like a layout that has been completely flooded. You can see the sidelines of the road. People
look at that. This is Ghaziabad right now. Stronica city. Is it, I mean, what part of it spells city to you anymore in this particular area? This is exactly what I was talking about, I mean, it's not the fact that I am a resident of Noida, but because Noida, had no waterlogging pretty much, one has to give credit where it's due. The planning is what matters. And this is planning right in front of you. I mean, it already looks like, it's in a rundown condition, this city that's being built. These are shots from Gurgaon. Again, a tunnel that is being thronged every day, every single day. This is the road that's leading to Gurugram. And it's almost like a swimming pool. I mean, you're entering water world. This is the rain pain in NCR, ladies and gentlemen. Safdarjung has clocked in 150.
We're talking about the Yatra.
And I was talking about the Kawad Yatris, and the Ghaziabad CMO, the Chief Medical Officer, has said that leaves have been cancelled for all these Kawad Yatris. They need to ensure that hospital services are in fact intact. Another layer of peril in their pilgrimage, it seems, Varghese. It's not just the sweltering heat. It's not the fact that they embark on this journey bare feet. It's not the fact that they have all their luggage with them, traveling with just this one set of clothes.
Look at how the vehicles are moving.
Now the rain as well.
Look at how those vehicles are moving.
Yeah, that's actually the most civilized I've seen cars run in Gurugram in the longest time. Traffic snarls completely. Punjab, Gurugram, the national capital. You talk about Himachal Pradesh.
Many places have been waterlogged.
Torrential rain.
It is going to just put traffic out of gear across NCR, and this is because Gurugram City railway station, that particular underpass also being in focus. Again, that is also waterlogged. So urban flooding is going to become the norm that we've been seeing for everywhere. See, it is not in Delhi alone. It's happening wherever it rains. It's happened in the Silicon City as well. But then you can see the traffic situation in the NCR region. We're getting a drone visual about it, and clearly enough it shows that in this area there is some kind of movement, but albeit very slowly. Vehicles are moving, but it is going to be a huge traffic snarl for people in the morning in Delhi.
Well, certainly. 2 electrocution deaths in East Delhi, and it's really nice of Times of India to put out the do's and don'ts of what to do when it's raining heavily, because we know about water contamination, we know about the situation of water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. But what happens when you have electricity in this mixture? Because electricity is something that is a very good, water becomes a very good conductor for electricity, and we've seen so many electrocution deaths as well. So do's and don'ts, ladies and gentlemen, pay close attention. Keep electrical appliances and connections, including sockets, switches and circuit breakers, dry at all times. Use rubber gloves and wear dry slippers while using these appliances, because rubber happens to be a bad conductor. Do not use electrical appliances or devices that are visibly damaged, have frayed cords, or show signs of moisture ingress, which is exposed wires or faulty insulation can lead to short circuits and electric shocks. You should also avoid using or touching electrical devices with wet hands or when standing on wet surfaces to prevent the risk of shock. Use proper electrical equipment that are serviced and waterproof. Appliances should be resistant to moisture, reducing the chances of electrical accidents. You should also avoid standing or walking in waterlogged areas or puddles, just like we saw that man walking through in knee-deep water, wading through that portion of Tronic City in Ghaziabad, as they may have electrical wires or submerged outlets posing a significant risk of electrocution. Never touch or lean against electric poles or any exposed wires during rainy weather. Maintain a safe distance to minimize the risk of accidental contact with live electrical components. And lastly, distribute the load evenly across multiple circuits or use surge protectors. Nicely put out do's and don'ts in a situation of flooding where there's too much water and electricity is in your vicinity. So we showed you visuals from Himachal Pradesh, from Uttarakhand, from Gurugram, from Punjab and from the national capital as well. What's going to happen today, even as people are speculating another set of alerts? Well, we'll have to wait and find out. Do not step out, stay safe, stay dry. Let's quickly take a look at what's happening in Manipur as well. We're now learning essentially a situation where these two warring sides, Varghese, are using quadcopters. Using drones, unmanned aerial vehicles.
So where did they get these drones from?
To target each other.
And look at the sophistication of it. We were thinking they were mobs. They don't seem to be mobs. They seem to be, some kind of trained, some kind of intelligence working in it. Because the use of quadcopters to in fact see which village to target, what is the kind of security that
just
is
the
provided.
Training of using a quadcopter.
I mean, it shows that this seems to be completely planned. Or there is some kind of planning also happening, and quadcopters are present with both the mobs from both the sides, and they're using that effectively to target those who are not even involved in this kind of violence or those who don't want the violence. So that is actually a cause of concern, that these quadcopters are being used by these mobs to actually target villages, to target or in fact to even find out routes through which they can go where the security presence is not there. So the intensity of the usage of these drones is this thing.
Certainly, and the quadcopters, the questions that are now coming about, about arms recovery, we still don't know how many arms are still with the people. Kuldeep Singh, the chief security advisor, earlier, back about, let's say a month and a half back, he would put out those numbers every day, but that bulletin has stopped coming anymore because, well, the numbers weren't really explaining what kind of situation was happening on the ground. We've seen the chief minister's appeal to step down. We've seen clashes. We've seen Rahul Gandhi visiting that place. We've seen the Congress party calling the Prime Minister out for not visiting that place. The Home Minister was there. And there is firing every day, deaths happening. A week will go by and suddenly you'll see somebody's been burnt and hacked to death in front of their family members. What is the way out? I mean, we're looking at 3 months plus of this conflict. We'll soon be at 100 days. What's the conflict out? Do you remember why all of this started? I mean, there are historically socio-economic fault lines at play, but it all began with that demand of reservation. The Métis demanding that scheduled tribe status, and the cookies and the tribals saying that, look man, don't even think about it.
See,
and
the
shouldn't
issues,
we circle back to that
any
problem
community
again?
can, in this country, any community can ask for reservation, they can push for it, they can be, trying to get it. We cannot restrict anything because it's part of the democratic process. And those communities have an issue with it also can use the democratic process to vouch their concerns about it. Of course, there were the courts, there were higher courts as well, where the issues could have been taken up, and this could have been amicably seen through the due process of law and administration. But the shocking part of this, Kabir, is that if this has led to a violence like this, the issue is that the violence started in May 3rd, and we have almost seen 2 months of this violence unabated, sometimes erratic, sometimes planned, sometimes a series of protests that stopped from any sort of help coming to people, and the administration is struggling to restore law and order on the ground. So as of now, when we see this kind of a situation developing in Manipur, the question is, how can you bring them onto the negotiating table? How can you ask both the community leaders to come on the table and to use their influence on their people to say that it's time to push violence to the backseat? It's not the issue. It's not what has to be taken up right now. there are huge problems that are there. The government is trying to bring some kind of semblance of normalcy by trying to, reopen schools and let it function. But again, there are concerns in certain areas where the violence has been quite intense, where the schools can be reopened in those areas. The government has also asked its employees to come back and report for duty, especially the state employees, because they want to bring in the government services also back. So there is an attempt to push in some kind of normalcy as fast as possible. But then there are these concerns that how long, and what about these areas where, the situation is quite intense, especially the violence is intense, the ethnic conflicts are intense, and also the populations are interspersed in such a manner where the tensions will keep on building and the cycle of violence keeps building up. So, as you rightly pointed out, the guns issues is again a big issue that is there, because recently also there was an attempt to loot the armory, and then you have the Jawan who was on the ground trying to do something of it. And then we had the internet ban that has been partially lifted. The government has been given control to, keep an eye on it as well.
That's only because the Manipur High Court, which I'm reading about after a very long time, I mean, they did seek a fresh report, but it all started with the Manipur High Court telling the government to, well, you know what, boss, start thinking about this ST demand that the Methi community has been asking for the longest time, which is when that peaceful, solid, tribal solidarity march was taken out in the hills, and the violence ensued ever since the early days of May. Now, Manipur High Court directed the government to partially lift the internet ban in the state. So, the Manipur High Court has directed the state government to partially lift the internet ban in the state by providing services through internet lease line, subject to restriction to be decided by an expert committee. Now, this order was passed by the court on Friday last week while hearing a set of petitions against the suspension of internet services after violence broke out in the state. The court stated that it is of the view that its directions would be in the interest of the public to mitigate their hardships in the face of the complete ban of internet services in place in the state since the 3rd of May, while at the same time ensuring the security of the state and safety of the life and properties of the citizens. It's also directed the Home Department to lift the ban on providing internet service through internet lease line, which is the ILL, after ensuring that the stakeholders have complied with a set of safeguards recommended by an expert committee. Now, what are these safeguards going to be? We've got another committee, a peace panel, a government panel, an expert panel, a special investigation team. I mean, I'm just looking at too many teams at play over here. What's next, Varghese? What's next? I mean, I know we're running out of time here, and violence in Manipur is something that is not new. But now quadcopters being used, incessant firing that's taking place. These clashes, one doesn't even know, I mean, if these clashes are taking place every day or not, but one knows for a fact that there are guns, sophisticated machine guns that are with the warring sides, the two sides, the factions that are at loggerheads with each other, the Kukis, the tribals, and the Methis on the other hand. What's next according to you, and then we'll wrap this up.
Well, right now there is only no other option but to go for negotiations. But before negotiations happen, the guns have to go out of circulation. But before the guns go out of circulation, there should be law and order established. So there is a huge responsibility on the security forces, on the paramilitary forces, and on the government to establish law and order. Once the law and order is established, they'll have to get the people to surrender their guns, even if it means it was licensed for a while. Let the guns go completely out of circulation in Manipur. After which, they'll have to get the leaders to speak with each other. There should be another peace committee that is much more amiable, that is to be organized, and this peace committee should bring in some kind of influence to restore peace. There are confidence building measures should be initiated between the Kukis as well as the Methis as fast as possible. The confidence should be even built up on the fact that those who are responsible for some kind of the violence, they are also brought to book. So it is going to be a series of CBMs that have to be built. Confidence building measures should be put in place in such manner that there is peace between both the communities, and it is also we have to ensure that motor-mouth netas who have the ability to stoke violence, they should be given a complete structure saying that action will be taken against them. And as we know, the government of Manipur as well as the court is also monitoring that kind of possibility of flaring up violence. They are looking at that quite closely, whether it's in the media. They're also closely scrutinizing the people who are also speaking on it. But at the same time, the negotiation channel should be kept open, and there should be these leaders who have influence on both the communities to be brought in first, so that this kind of a peace can, the peace process can go ahead, which has been stalled completely, and we cannot let this go. But the government is trying to bring in some kind of semblance of, normalcy, but it is a very difficult task ahead because there's so much of trust deficit, and that trust deficit can be kind of built up only if you have more CBMs in place.
I know it's easier said than done, but we need more love on the ground. With that being said, let's close this morning paper edition. We apologize, we couldn't do much today because the rains was certainly too much to talk about today. Of course, there's problems between the governor and the chief minister in Tamil Nadu. If you're looking at sports, England won the Ashes, and last night the round 4 match of Djokovic versus Hurkacz, that was suspended mid-play because it was going on for too long. That's going to continue today. So all eyes on Wimbledon as well. But lastly, needless to say, Uttar Bharat में भारी वर्षा, कहीं बही गाड़ियां तो कहीं बहा पुल, 24 लोगों की गई जान. Please do not step out. Again, we're expecting, there are several alerts, and Yamuna is in full speed for those in the national capital, and those in North India. Please follow all cautionary, disclaimers by the authorities and the agencies as well. Do not, venture out unnecessarily. Stay safe, stay dry. We're going to be focusing on Manipur in the evening, the South Indian during the afternoon, and a global headlines coming to you at 1 p.m. Don't go anywhere. For all the latest, keep watching News 9. That's all from us. Thank you.
With all this gear, you must be wondering if I'm climbing a mountain. Well, let me give you a wider look of this place. This is Asia's largest mountain of shame.
A mountain of waste, almost the height of the Qutub Minar.
When you enter capital cities of some of the biggest countries in the world, you don't have 3 garbage mountains waiting to welcome you, depending on whichever side of the city you enter from.
The thing is that a lot of times we talk about landfills only when there's a fire at the landfill. You need to understand that a landfill is at fire almost throughout the year. It's only when the firefighters are not able to douse the fire is when it actually catches the nation's attention, the city's attention, or media attention.
The towering landfills worsen one of Delhi's biggest problems: pollution.
यहाँ पर आप रात को आओ, दिन में आओ, आप 1 घंटे बैठ नहीं सकते बाहर. इतनी धूल, प्रदूषण, महक, आप खाना भी नहीं खा सकते बाहर बैठ के.
Life around the landfill is a curse.
हमारे घर में जो बड़े हैं उन्हें अस्थमा के वो पेशेंट है, आए दिन उनको नेबुलाइजर लगाना पड़ता है.
डॉक्टर ने मुझे ये चीज बोला कि यहाँ का एरिया छोड़ के कहीं और चाहिए.
Delhi's garbage mountains are now a fetid symbol of the national capital's trash problem. The question is, who is to be blamed? Watch Delhi's Garbage Mountains. Streaming on News 9 Plus for the Gemflix.
मैं इमरान अहमद खान नियाजी सबके दिल से हल्फ उठाता हूँ.
When Imran Khan came initially into politics, he thought his personal popularity would be sufficient for him. It didn't happen.
The retired military generals are openly